Retaliation guides are a dime a dozen with the start of the season, so I'm not going to waste your time regurgitating the basics of this mode with what other creators have already said. This is a guide to Retaliation with tips you won't find anywhere else. This guide will include general tips that will last for the seasons to come, as well as some specific tips for the season and its modifiers. Let's get stuck into it. I've seen some posts of folks that are really struggling with Retaliation. Hopefully these tips will help these players succeed and help the rest of us go faster or finish more consistently. If you find these unique tips helpful or worth sharing, hype this video with the button below so that we get some more visibility. And join our community by subscribing. It's free and takes half a second. Our goal is to grow to 2,000. Okay, on with the video. First things first. This mode requires us to go quickly, but not recklessly. Do what you have to do to stay alive. Popping an armor kit requires a couple of seconds, but being reckless and over-peaking with low armor will lose you time and pop you back at the safe house and cost you several minutes of running. As you run around, enemy waves will spawn. It's possible that some of them will bug out and they'll spawn in a parking garage underground or get stuck behind a spawn door, and in these cases you can just ignore them and keep running. Otherwise though, if you see them, just deal with them. You don't want a pack of ambient waves to catch up behind you when you're trying to take the control points. The first big tip is to keep your distance. Enemies are much less accurate at range, even if it doesn't seem like it. Melee enemies, scorchers, rushers, immobilizers, and any enemy using a shotgun are completely useless at range. Grenades are much easier to dodge at range as well. So by keeping your distance, you're giving yourself a ton of advantages. A kill squad appearing can definitely up the pucker factor, especially when they appear right in front of you, and this has happened to me. All you need to do is retreat as much as you need to, keep going back until you have the distance that you need. Take out the enemies that are close by and then move on to the rest. Kill squads are the most likely way that you're going to die in this mode. Going on this vein, make sure you have at least one weapon for long range and one for close to medium range. For the longer range weapon, make sure you're running optimal range mods if you need them, and especially some accuracy mods. Accuracy is one of the most important stats in this mode. Not only for keeping up your hit percentage at range, but most importantly for hitting weak points. The most dangerous enemies are LMG gunners and heavies. Usually, in the normal game, there's only one of these maybe in a given wave, but with Retaliation, we might have a whole wave of them, and multiple waves can stack on top of each other. We can even have multiple in a single kill squad. I had a True Sons kill squad with 2 Grenadier heavies and an LMG gunner. The best and easiest way to neutralize these enemies is by detonating their weak points. When you've got multiple to deal with, you don't want to spend unnecessary time burning them down when you've got grenades raining down on your head and an LMG blasting you in the face. Detonating weak points allows you to get the breathing room to take them out and greatly reduces the threat they face. There's also the scenario where detonating a weak point can crowd control or outright kill a whole wave, like Outcast Rushers, Hyena Rushers, Cleaner Flamethrowers, and True Sons Immobilizers. Extra accuracy also helps destroy skill proxies to avoid operators from getting their special overheal. So keep your distance and incorporate accuracy into your builds. You can also check out my videos about the most underrated talent in the game, Ranger, in which I talk about how effective playing at range is. Ranger is also a very good talent in this mode, and everybody should run it at least once just to make sure that you know how far away you are from the enemy. But moving on now, there's a wide variety of cover and positions in the open world. If possible, taking locations with a height advantage are beneficial. This makes it a lot harder for grenadiers to hit you, allows you to throw your skills and grenades farther, and allows you to hit enemies behind cover easier. The other best form of cover is a box truck. These beefy bad boys are tall enough to block most grenades, and alternating which side of it you peek from should give you a couple seconds of free firing before the enemies can switch to your new location. Since it has sides and a back, you also have multiple angles to hide if you get pushed, and it doesn't require you to be stuck into cover, so you have a lot more freedom of movement. It's obviously not just the box truck, but there are ambulances, fire trucks, semi-trucks, and Conex containers. All work just as well, just the bigger the better. Alright, another tip. When running from control point to control point, run in the middle of the street. Seems pretty stupid. In real life, that would be the opposite of what you want to do, but when the waves come straight out of buildings, they don't appear in the middle of the street. Running along the sides of the street just means you're more likely to have a kill squad prop out right in front of you and end your retaliation run. So let's talk about specific modifier tips. This season's modifiers are insanely powerful. Even just the global modifier by itself, which gives rate of fire, should directly translate into a consistent reduction in your TTK. Make sure you've got passive modifiers enabled that correspond to the faction that you're retaliating against. No sense having Scorched Earth active if you're not facing Outcasts because you won't see any Scorchers. I'd highly recommend running Rupert's Tear. People don't know whether it's tear or tier, but it sounds like tear as it's tearing stuff apart. But anyway, heavies are some of the most dangerous enemies in this mode, and multiple of them can spawn, as we've already discussed. This modifier makes them drastically easier to take down. I would take this as an absolute must pick every single time. Grenades are also extremely dangerous, so batter up could be another easy pick. Stepping Stone is another one of the general options. It's kind of meh. It's a damage boost, but it's extremely short-lived with automatic weapons, so this one's kind of just mediocre. For the third slot, I'd slot in one that's specific to the faction that you're fighting against. Make sure to get in the habit of using your active modifiers, especially when you get in hairy situations and for greatest effect. Sanitation gives a lot of damage and a lot of repair. Zealot gives you invulnerability, for Pete's sake. Advanced Materials gives you skill tier 6 and even overcharge on your specialization skills, which is a huge buff to repair skills or shield health or skill damage. All of these will drastically increase your survivability in addition to the other benefits that they provide like damage, so make sure you're using your active modifiers. Eventually, this season will be over and we won't have these modifiers. So if you're not playing with the modifiers this season, or you're looking back at this episode in a later season, here are some tips for running without modifiers. The fights in Retaliation are much more drawn out and flexible than something like missions and Countdown. This means you're likely to take a lot more chip damage than you're used to. This season you can just use modifiers to get through it without too much trouble. But after this season you might need some repairs. That could be something as simple as running 2 blue cores with the shield, or running 2 healing skills with some incoming repairs and repair skills attributes, running the nimble holster, or even running in a group and having a healer. It could mean running refactor, using a decoy, the efficient chest piece talent, or using the excess gloves. Probably the best piece, especially if running solo, run the memento backpack. None of the other repair backpacks really do well in Retaliation. Adrenaline Rush is too close range, Bloodsucker will constantly be timing out. Memento, on the other hand, will build up and stay active the whole time, giving us lots of different sources of repair and giving us some damage no matter the build. There are lots of different efficient sources of repair. Experiment and find the ones that work for you. I would also stay away from Tinkerer unless you're running a Headhunter build. It's easy to go bingo on ammo because the fights are so drawn out, especially if you aren't running Gunner and or aren't used to hitting the ammo box. Tinkerer will force both your primary and secondary to share the same ammo pool, so it's much easier to run out of ammo. Also, just be warned, if you're running Overdogs, It's very, very powerful, especially if you run into a wave of all one enemy type. However, ambient waves can introduce lower tier enemies that will take away your bonus, so be sure to quickly take those guys out first. As for weapons, as I already said, accuracy is paramount. A lot of creators have been putting out builds with the Chameleon, and honestly I think this is a really poor choice for this mode. It's powerful, sure, but its poor accuracy and optimal range are going to put you much closer to the enemy than you should be. Plus, you'll always be cycling through the buffs and never be able to maintain them. It is a powerful weapon, but it's just going to be pushing you towards gameplay that's less ideal. It's also got a high fire rate, combine that with a low hit percentage, and you're going to be burning through ammo and have to switch to a secondary instead, which also loses you the buffs. Now talking about Headhunter builds. In my opinion, Headhunter builds go really fast until they don't. It's risky. If you lose your Headhunter stacks, you can be in a lot of trouble. Usually, when running Headhunter builds, there's only one or two helmeted enemies. No problem to take an extra shot after breaking the helmet to rebuild your stacks. In this situation though, a kill squad with 3 helmeted enemies, or a wave of all True Sun's heavy grenadiers, it's going to go tits up fast. I'm not saying that you're dead in the water. I ran into this very situation, I just took it slow, kept backing up, and I got through it. But it did take a while, and I very well could have failed the retaliation. It's a lot harder to get your stacks back up when you're faced with a bunch of named enemies. Maybe it's just a skill issue on my part, but just be warned, okay? Things can get really dicey if you're running a Headhunter build. Make sure it's dialed in. Otherwise, I would just recommend using a standard DPS setup with an LMG, rifle, or AR, and with a weapon that can handle close range as a secondary. Heartbreaker, Striker, Umbra, Tipping Scales, Ongoing Directive, they're all great options. Let me know if you want to build videos specifically for Retaliation, and I'll see what I can put together. Alright agents, that's all I got for this one. Share your tips below with the community. It seems like a fair amount of players, as I said, are struggling with this mode, so let's help each other out. And of course, let me know if there's anything I got wrong, or if you've got a different opinion. I always love the lively discussion that I've been seeing in the comments. Thanks for watching, agents, and until next time, this has been Dispatch. Take care out there.